Yo, it's your girl LK and PC. In a different format than normal, we're here to give you the weekly whiteboard. It's basically all the work that Morning Chalk Up has been doing all week, and we're going to recap the news. It's going to be a good time.
I'm looking forward to it.
We got what do you got? What are you sipping on right now?
Um, I can probably grab some whiskey over here, but probably just some water for now. We'll see. We'll see how this progresses.
Okay.
It's the first show.
It's the first show. We just want to be here to kind of talk about some of the different hot topics in CrossFit, whether it's stories we wrote about, things that we've been seeing on the internet, and just have a free space to do so. So it's going to be a good time.
Yeah,
Plus, who doesn't want to have some fun on a Friday?
yeah.
I guess we're recording on Thursday, but for people who are watching on Friday, maybe they have something nice in their cup right now
And who
as
knows?
they're
Maybe
watching.
they don't know. We could be doing this Friday mornings, or we could be doing this live. Who knows?
You never know what we
You
can
never
bring.
know. You never know. You never know with this crew.
You don't. Okay, so let's start. The biggest thing on our minds right now, on Thursday, CrossFit, they had a press conference with all of the media outlets, a couple different topics that they were talking about. But I think the biggest thing, there was a lot of speculation as to where the 2023 CrossFit Games is going to be held. There was all of this momentum. We were excited. There was some ideas floating around, and it's back in Madison.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with
No, no, absolutely. I lived in, Wisconsin, Green Bay specifically,
it.
for about 4 years. I love Wisconsin. I think that it's an incredible state. The people there are some of the most friendly in the world. But the games, it's gonna be back in Madison.
Yeah. Fun fact: first old fashioned I ever had was in Madison.
Okay, did you have, a brandy or a whiskey old fashioned?
I'm a whiskey guy, so I went with whiskey.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay,
that's
okay.
where I had it at.
Sweet or sour?
Oh, sweet. I'm all sweet.
Me too.
Yeah, but no,
Love
I'm
old
happy.
fashioned.
I mean, I like Madison. Obviously, it's only a 6 hour drive for me. It's easy to
Mhm.
get to. I like the setup there. I mean, it's a college town, um, and it's such a very. I mean, the community there is very fit as well and very welcoming. Because I was there in 2017 when they first started there, and I just remember the first thing I saw when I got to my hotel to check in was the hotel was completely like covered in CrossFit stuff. And
Yeah.
then you go downtown Madison, and it was like CrossFit area. You had a Rogue bar. You had all these different sponsors sponsoring bars, and you're taking Ubers, and they automatically ask. I mean, they weren't asking me, but they'd be like, "Hey, you're here for the CrossFit event." Great. I'm glad you asked my friend, but you're not asking me. But I'm not mad about it. I know some people are kind of let down by it because it was kind of something that we've been talking to. I mean, you actually wrote the original article on this, correct?
Yeah, so throughout the year, I had been just cold calling so many different cities to see where or who actually put bids in to potentially host the CrossFit game. Because when we reached out to CrossFit HQ, they were really hesitant to give us a list of who had submitted bids. So I did old school journalism. I got on the phone and yeah, I know. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
Actual journalism in CrossFit. I have a degree in everything.
Exactly. That investigative reporting.
And 10 out of 10 stars. Um, I would just start cold calling cities. We looked at maps. We're like, okay, what places logistically could potentially host the CrossFit Games when it comes to, you know, um, who has an international airport, who has a great amount of hotels that could host, and different sites and facilities. So we started a list, dozens of cities that all just said nope, nope, nope. Finally, we got a couple on that list. Specifically, Dallas, Texas, is where Dave Castro and a couple other folks from CrossFit, when he was working for them, actually went to look at the facility. And when I spoke with them, they were very positive. They thought it would be a good transition from Madison to Dallas, but for whatever reason, obviously now we know it just didn't work out. Um, I am curious to see, though, if CrossFit ever does release a list
Hmm.
of places that put in bids. I know that there's things that go into it that maybe they don't want public, but it would be interesting just to get the conversation generating and seeing, where could the CrossFit Games potentially be. What we do know from the press conference, though, is there will, in fact, be a new host city as of 2024. So the last year that they'll be in Madison will be 2023. We've got
Peace
2 more years. Peace out. Get your cheese curds and spotted cow beers in
out.
while you can. And then we could actually see the CrossFit Games go international by 2024, which I don't know about you, but I know CrossFit's been talking about this for a
Mhm.
while. I guess I was just kind of surprised that with all of the different things that have been happening with CrossFit this past year, the change of leadership, even like getting the format of the games or the game season under their belt for another year, that this is something that's happening so soon in 2024.
No, I mean, I was surprised when they said that. I mean, for them to talk internationally right now when they're still trying to get it seems like their feet planted. They if the 2018 season would have kept on going, like after, I mean, 2018 is considered the high mark of CrossFit.
Yeah.
If they wouldn't have lost that momentum from 2019, 2020, then I could definitely see them 2024 going, yeah, we should
Mhm.
think internationally. But because of all the stumbles, whether it be change in leadership, COVID, you know, the just the 2019 season in general, the format, yeah, I could definitely see international. But I mean, we've only had really one true CrossFit game since 2018,
Yeah.
um, because you had the COVID year, and then
Sure.
the 2019 is like, if you ask anyone, that's kind of like the asterisk because you had hundreds and hundreds. That was a national champion year,
Mhm.
the first cut, second cut. So I don't know. I mean, I like. I'm sure if you're especially if you're someone from Europe, you're excited about it because obviously you would think the European countries would be the first ones up the bat, specifically London, Paris, Amsterdam. I mean,
Yeah.
anything that has a strong CrossFit base, and including Madrid as well. But yeah, it kind of surprised me. But I don't foresee that happening, not yet. I do see them obviously having a new location. They basically said, "Peace out, Madison. We out of here." But um, but I don't see them signing maybe a 5-year contract, kind of like what they did with Madison. Maybe like
Yeah.
a 2-year. But like you said, it would be nice if they kind of did mention some of the finalists because you see that a lot in Olympics. You see that in other sports.
Yeah.
Saw
The
it in
Super Bowl.
yeah, in Super Bowl, you build excitement and it generates some excitement, brings some news to the sport. I mean, I mean, CrossFit kind of did something similar when they were bidding out for the 2017 games. I mean, one of the finals was Jacksonville, and the other one was
Oh,
Madison.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of built it built up some excitement. And then when they
Yeah.
finally announced Madison, everyone was like, "Wow, that's cool!" And but yeah, it was a really interesting. You weren't on that. You weren't on the press conference, correct?
No, I was not this
Yeah.
morning.
I mean, you. I love the press conferences. I really think it's a
Yeah, I
great.
love the transparency of it. Having
It's
some athletes on it, I think is great.
it's a good direction. They're doing the right thing. This is stuff that people in the media we've been clamoring for a while. It's like every
Mhm.
other sport they have press conferences where they open it up. But what there was only 30 minutes, and it felt like I don't know. It just felt like there was a lot of questions by media that were left unanswered, and because it was done in 30 minutes, that's it. So I really felt bad for the athletes. I mean, they had Guy on, they had Gabby on, and they also had Mal on, and they weren't really being engaged much because most of the questions obviously were directed to Bosman and
Yeah.
Berg. So hopefully in the future, especially if they know, I mean, if they know they should do two separate press conferences. One for the
Right, one with the
athletes,
athletes and one for media questions from HQ.
exactly. I
I
think
will say
we did a they did a kind of a disservice, and maybe the media we did a disservice as well as not engaging those athletes more.
yeah, but it's hard because at the end of the day, we are media and we are journalists, and there are a priority of questions that we wanna get answered because we have such I don't think, like the average person in CrossFit knows what limited access we do have to getting a
Right.
lot of these questions answered, especially in a press conference platform. But I will say, as somebody who, my background is in TV
Mhm.
journalism, local media, local news.
Mhm.
And anytime I would go to like a press conference with like the county executive or a mayor or some kind of political figure, they really are limited to how many questions they allow the media to ask. So even though it's this feeling of transparency and we're here to ask questions, the amount of access you actually get, you always feel like you don't get every question that you have answered. So I will say that CrossFit is pretty in line with how a normal press conference would go, whether
100%.
that's good, bad, indifferent. It's hard to fault them because any press conference I've been to, you always leave and you're like, man, if I could just like grab them on the side or could
Mhm.
get two more questions answered, I would be able to show the full picture of this story.
Yeah, and I've been on both sides. I've been lucky enough to be on, you
Yeah.
know, the one answering, but I've also been a moderator for NCAA collegiate
Mhm.
events, gymnastics, wrestling. So I
Sure.
understand that there is a time limit. You're trying to push the narrative, but at the same time you have a clock that you need to, especially when it comes to athletes. I know for gymnasts and wrestlers, like we wanted to get them in and out real quick. But whenever we had coaches on, they're a little bit more long form, but we still wanted to get them out of there. So I understand that, but that's why I feel like they should be kind of separated because that does happen at the NCAA events, at least when it comes to March Madness, is where they're bringing in the players and the coaches, and the opening questions are usually led by the moderator, and then they
Mhm.
open it up to the media, and then the media asks the questions of the players, and then they let the players go, and then it's usually the coach dealing with it. So it's in a sense, it's almost two interviews. Um,
Sure.
but I think maybe and that's something that maybe we should pass up to CrossFit as
Yeah.
a suggestion. But I think so. I think that's what it should be like. But we'll see. It kind of ran that way at the games. You saw how it was at the games
Right.
last year. It was a little
Mhm.
bit more interactive. Of course, we're one of the
All in
only.
person too.
Yes.
Which does change the format. When you're in person, you can be a little more, almost, like, aggressive as a journalist, where, like, "Hey, one more question, one more question," where, like, on a Zoom, they can just, like, mute you, they can kick you out of the
Wait,
room.
we didn't see your hand raised. Yeah.
Right.
So there were some
Um,
complaints. There were some complaints I've heard from other media sources and other people on the call that that their questions weren't answered, and that it was that was kind of dominated by us and other more popular outlets, which is a shame that they think that. But it's not our fault that that happened. It's just we don't I don't know why, but in any
my
case,
response, journalism is aggressive. It's a dog eat dog world out there. You
yeah,
sometimes in the nicest way, you have to like do it respectfully, but
sure,
there is a way to get your question asked if you're aggressive about it. Sometimes in press conferences, people are talking over each other, and the moderator is trying to figure out, like, okay, how am I going to organize this? But there's a way to do it.
there is.
I mean, with experience comes, um, it comes figuring out how to do it.
Yeah.
Another topic, though, that people have really been talking about is the three-time CrossFit Games champion, David Hippensteel. He was the one who actually withdrew from the competition. We've seen some of his videos. We've seen some of the standards. I think that it's just interesting that he is the one that actually pulled himself out of moving further with the competition.
Yeah, and if you had a chance to read an article by Joe or Joe Gento Palawa, he
Mhm.
it was a really good piece. He was able to kind of talk to he was able to get some comments from him, and then he kind of broke down why we got to where we're at, where he actually withdrew his name, and it says a lot about his character. I think that's what's being lost in a lot of this stuff is that a lot of people are quick to I don't know call out his standards or call him a coward or whatever. But I think it says a lot more for his character to kind of pull out without and not making a big deal out of it. I mean,
Yeah.
so and he's a good guy. If you've ever met him, he's a great guy. He's yeah, it's unfortunate because he is a fit, very fit guy, and
Oh my gosh, yeah. He just had his 66th birthday.
I
His
know, isn't
birthday
it?
was on Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. And the guy, he's a practicing working dentist there in Clarksville, Tennessee,
Full
and
time.
yep, and yeah, he's anyone that goes to his gym, Solidified, they're greeted by him. He's such a nice guy, and it's unfortunate to see that happen. But yeah, I think if he has to make the sacrifice for this sport to be better, I guess he would do that. Then he's the type of guy that would do that. You know.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I've actually spoken to him on the phone recently, and there's always 2 sides to every story. Both sides don't always get told, but there really are always 2 sides. I
Yes.
think that absolutely we need to hold everybody to the highest standard when we are funneling people into the CrossFit Games, if we want to call this a professional sport. I think that's important for the integrity of the sport, the growth of the sport, and just people knowing like, okay, these are the standards, and this is this is the goal. In the same breath, I think that we need to see the whole picture of things. And a couple of conversations that I had with David, it was interesting because he had spoken with CrossFit, and one of the workouts he actually repeated and tried to resubmit a video.
Mhm.
He reached out to them ahead of time before the submission deadline, but by the time they got back to him, it was too late. So there are other moving pieces that
Yeah.
it's David's story, whether he wants to tell it or not. That's his decision.
Mhm.
But when it comes to the CrossFit community, up in arms about things, I think we need to remember that David is still a human like the rest of us. He's somebody who loves CrossFit. He wants to compete. Yes,
Mhm.
we need to hold him to the highest standard, but also there may be underlying things that we haven't seen the full scope of. So just like be a nice person. There's no reason to like go into comment sections and like like fire off rapid like
Yep.
text messages like you know him, because
Yeah.
most of us like don't know him. Like he's a father, he's an athlete, he's a dentist, he's all of these other things. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just my 2 cents about like let's at least be nice.
Be nice. It's hard to do nowadays, but everyone's quick to what they call those Twitter fingers, Instagram fingers, I guess,
Mhm.
whatever you want to call it. But everyone's yeah, everyone has a lot to say when they don't have to be held accountable for saying it in person. So
Yeah. But interesting, speaking about judging and
yes.
kind of making the transition to better judging, yourself and Gretchen, who you've met through various routes within the space, you both wrote separate pieces when it comes to how we can have better judges.
Mhm.
We had a bottom line episode that's going to be coming out later next week where we dive a little more deeper into it. So I don't want to give too much of that away, but I do think it is noteworthy that the conversation is continuing within the space that everybody wants the sport to get better. And that does start, sure, with the athlete, but also the judges.
Yeah, it's just not the athlete because when it comes down to it, the athlete is not. They're not counting their reps. They're not the ones who are holding themselves to that standard. I mean, it's easy to say, "Oh, hold yourself to a standard," but anyone that's ever done CrossFit, if you've done 150 air squats, it's like, you're gonna probably go low on those first ones, but by the time you get to 100, you're kind of towing that line.
Mhm.
That's why you have judges there, and that's why you have judges specifically for those to judge the people that want to be the best, because the best have to be the best movers. And obviously, my background in judging and still having many friendships within the judging community, it's something I'd been sitting on for a while, and I got a lot of flack for, well, how come you didn't do it before? Well, I'm like, well,
Hmm.
it's never gotten to the point like it's been now, and we can thank Hiller for that. Which he's whether you hate him or like him, it's things is he's bringing a lot of good things up, bringing up some good points, and that felt like the time that I could express and give some tips and things I've learned, and I got a lot of feedback from the judging community and even affiliate owners and athletes as well, saying, "Hey, thanks for putting that out." And
Hmm.
my goal for that was just to start. There's so much more to judging than the 7 tips I gave for beginners. There's much more to that. Those are just 7 things that helped me out when I started off, and hopefully, people take that to heart. And it seemed like they will or have. And Gretchen brings a really good perspective. Like I said, I don't want to give up any spoilers because it's a really that interview the session we had with her, that bottom line, was really fun. And Gretchen, she's been around for a while. She's worked at CrossFit. She's the president of an organization, the IF3, that is hoping to bring functional fitness into the 2028 Summer Olympics in LA. I mean, she's trying to standardize a lot of this stuff that isn't right now. There is no judge's handbook per
Yeah.
se in the CrossFit community. I actually made one for a competition I was running, but there's not really like one, like, I guess what you want to call a Bible or whatever, where it's like there's your reference point. But
Yeah.
even then, I think there still needs to be more resources out there for judges. That's ultimately what we'll hit on is just
Mhm.
providing more resources, whether it be for the lowest judges, the beginning judges, to the ones that are judging at the semifinals or the games, and then also CrossFit themselves, they have to be held accountable as well.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, knowledge is power. The more knowledge and educational tools that people have out there, the better equipped we can be to hold athletes to a higher standard. If you
Yeah.
know that these are exactly like the points of performance that I'm looking for in
Mhm.
specific movements, whether that be a pistol, a shuttle run, even an air squat. The better we can make this sport moving forward, and then we can trust these online qualifiers.
Yeah.
Sure, the open is never going to be perfect because there's so many people doing the open. And you know that most people are just having whoever is in their 12, 15, or whatever group class they're doing, they're just finding somebody to judge them. But once
Yeah.
we get to the next stage and further on, having judges that are legitimate, I think is going to be really important in the growth of the sport.
Yeah, and the last thing I want to do, or anyone wants to do, is scare these people from judging. The
Mhm.
ultimate goal, I mean, when Rosa was CEO, he kept on saying he wanted 1 million people in the open. Well, if you have 1 million people in open, how many judges do you think that's going to take?
Yeah.
So, you know, the only way that's going to happen is if these people are willing to judge, and not just judge, because there's a difference between judging and counting reps. That's my biggest pet peeve. Don't be sitting there just counting reps and making check marks off your
Right.
score. Hold them to the standard. It starts with them. It starts with the
Yeah.
judge. That's all I wanted to get across the piece. And the same, I can't speak with Gretchen, but I'm sure that was what she wanted to do, was
Mhm.
to ask CrossFit as an institution to be better, to help the community, help the judging community. You know,
What are you wearing on your wrist right now? Eh.
Look at that.
Oh, I like yours, your red one.
Yeah.
Maybe I need a new band.
Oh, you
Alright,
you want a brand new ebony one, huh?
j it's just black.
I know. I think they call it ebony. That,
A
that
fancy term for black ebony?
yeah, that
That's
limited
like,
edition, the limited
what
edition ebony band.
that reminds me of, like, macaroni orange and, like, the Crayola crayon box,
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah,
like, Fire Engine Red or whatever.
yeah. Which one was your favorite Crayola to eat?
T Honestly, I was never a crayon eater.
Oh,
But I was weird and I would, like, put glue on my hands, and then I would stick them together in the middle of class.
yeah,
I
that
was
is
that weirdo.
yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's cool. Uh,
A great transition into Whoop is no longer listed as a sponsor or a partner of the CrossFit Games. All of us that worked out this past week, we saw our fitness labeled as box fitness instead of
yeah,
CrossFit. That's when I think everything started to speculate. Excuse me.
sure.
Is
And that
when
popped up last week, didn't it?
maybe it
That's
was, yeah, maybe it was last week. The
yeah,
end of last week, it was like, "Did a workout, box fitness, what is this?" Like, "What is going on?" And that's when, the conversation started, and then we ultimately found out that, Whoop is no longer listed as a sponsor or a partner of the CrossFit Games.
it's crazy, huh?
It is because so many CrossFitters wear a Whoop, especially like high level athletes.
Hmm.
Rich Froning, even in the picture on our website, Kelsey Keel. I mean, people are doing live heart rates with their Whoops. I feel like I see it on Instagram on the regular.
Yeah,
The good thing though about this, hold on, I'm just scrolling through the article, but I think that Whoop did send us a quote. Oh yeah. So Andrew Weinstein, the director of public policy and communication at CrossFit, in response to a request from the morning chalk up commented, CrossFit and Whoop are currently working to resolve the status of our relationship, but we have no further comment at this time. So I guess it doesn't mean that the relationship is over forever. Maybe it was a financial thing. Maybe it was, I don't know. I mean, it could have really been anything, but it did surprise me
Yeah.
that a relationship that seemed so strong and so important to like the vision that it's over, or at least for now.
And by the way, shout out to Andrew Weinstein. Um,
He's a
um,
good guy.
yes, he's a good, real good guy. Good dude right there.
Good dude.
I would say, yeah, I was. It was weird for me because I worked out yesterday, and I don't know how it was with you, but my anytime I had any strain, it would default to CrossFit.
Yeah,
As
that's how mine normally would.
so yesterday, it defaulted to running, and it was like an old.
You're
And
like, "I haven't ran since 2017."
if you saw my workout, I did like it was like a 20-minute EMOM of deadlifts and heavy deadlifts and back squats and with box jumps. Like that was like the least. Yeah, I was far from running, but
There was no running.
so I was sitting there. I was like, well, what do I put box fitness? But they still had functional fitness. I was like, I don't
I
know.
know, I don't know what to put now.
I don't know. It's like
What do I do?
like decision. Why do you have to do this to us? But yeah, it was really weird seeing that. I mean, I obviously we don't know the inside story, and we probably will never know. But I don't
Yeah.
foresee. Maybe it's just one of those things, kind of like a taking a break. You know, I don't know. I don't know
Relationship status, taking a
exactly. It's like
break.
it's complicated. If the
Yeah.
relationship between CrossFit and Whoop was a Facebook status, it'd be it's complicated. Maybe I don't know. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I definitely Whooped obviously is still staying in a space, maybe just not as a title sponsor. Obviously, they sponsor a lot of athletes. They've branded out into the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
Obviously, a bunch of NFL athletes wear them. I've seen swimmers. I've seen. It's weird because normally when I see like OCR racers, they usually have like a Garmin or some type of GPS. But I've seen a couple of
Sure.
them. They've doubled it up where they wear a Garmin and a Whoop,
Mhm.
and so it's interesting. Yeah, I think especially when you have someone like Rich Froning involved with it, and someone like Brooke Wells, and then obviously all the media partners. I mean, we're right in the middle of what we're in May,
Yeah.
and I mean, we're throwing something right now. We're partnering up with Whoop as
Whoop
well.
mania.
Yeah, May, yeah, Whoop Mania.
Whoop mania. Sorry,
Yeah,
my voice still sounds really weird. If anybody notices that I sound like I'm drowning, it's because I had my tonsils out
yeah.
and I'm still
AK,
recovering.
she went on a bender 2 weeks ago and still recovering. Um,
I do sound like I do after, like, going to a concert and drinking.
yeah,
I lose my voice, but I swear that's not what it was.
no,
I
no,
went
I mean,
under the knife.
that
They
went under the knife. Sure, got it.
they
Got
they
those, got
cut
those, got those things removed.
got them removed, ate no ice cream, there was no benefits of this.
Hey, the Scarlett Johansson voice, that's it's working for you.
La 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 la. And now people will X out the video. They're like, "Okay, we're done with you."
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, but I mean, with Whoop, we'll see what happens. It's still early, but I guess just from my point of view, I was just a little surprised to see that.
I think most people were, but I think that's just it's like when an athlete leaves a coach and goes to another coach. It's just part of it. I mean, you know, yeah, they're still going to be a part of the community in one way or the other. I mean, just because they're not doing the games doesn't mean. I mean, you'll definitely probably see Whoop be a title sponsor for some of these semifinals or off-season competitions.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So they're not going anywhere. They're still going to be a part of the community. It's a great device. I mean, it takes a while, especially the 4.0. It's taken a while for it to sync up to my, I guess, whatever pattern, rhythms, whatever you want to call it. But
Sure.
now that it is, yeah. Look what.
Wait, my camera won't focus, but if you can see that, that's 100%. Oh, because it wants to focus on my face.
Yeah,
There we go. Almost. Maybe not. Okay, whatever. Basically that's telling us that I am at 100% of my sleep goal for
yeah.
2 straight weeks. PC is not.
And it's not going to get any better because PC is about to go traveling the next month. So when PC travels. Why am I talking myself in the third person? But either way, when I
Things
travel,
go down for your sleep.
oh god, those who followed me during Wadapalooza, I literally had a one. What was it? I forgot what it was, but it was just bad. It was bad. My recovery was a one, and I was on like 20 minutes of sleep.
Oh my god.
Those after Wadapalooza after parties are they're
They
no joke.
got you good. They got
Got
you
me
good.
good. Got me good. What else? What else has been going on this week in
S
CrossFit?
so one other thing that I think is noteworthy, and then we'll get into our top highlights of the week, which is gonna be really fun, is, the masters athletes that are double qualifying. Now, you and specifically, Brian Friend have talked about this a lot, how masters athletes, age group athletes, they are qualifying from their age group quarterfinals, and they're also qualifying for, individual. This leads to some confusion and some potential issues with backfilling
Mhm.
and, who is going to which semifinal. You said there hasn't really been a deadline given, or CrossFit's given a deadline, but it seems like it's been a little bit soft. I don't know if that's the right way to put it. I know that when we published the article on the first, there were 10 masters athletes that double qualified for semis. I think that it's gone down to 8.
Yeah, it might be less than that. Today in the press conference, obviously, like we said, there was a lot of follow up questions. So we
Mhm.
emailed that out to Andrew again for some follow up questions. And one of the questions we asked him was, when will the semifinal rosters be finalized? And
Yeah.
he emailed back that said, we will announce final semifinals rosters by the end of the week. So you
Okay.
know, if I'm a masters athlete, and I think what we've gotten from the masters athletes is like they want to compete at the games. Their best path to compete at the games is probably through the masters division. You
Sure.
know, um, just because one, they're taking the top 10 from each age group, and your competition's more in line with who you are as an athlete, as opposed to someone like Becca Voigt, who I'm who originally uh, registered for the semifinals, the Granite game, and also competed. But in the email that went out specifically to all the athletes, they put it in yellow highlight. You can only compete in one semifinals. It didn't say in the email when you had to announce which semifinal.
Mm.
You
Okay,
want
so a
to
little bit confusion there
Yes,
on specific deadlines.
exactly. Because that email didn't give a deadline. It just said you only
Mhm.
had you had one. You can only compete in one semifinal. So you're going to see. I mean, obviously Brian gets all the credit of this because he did all the research, and he has the guy's a genius.
Yeah.
But he why are you agreeing? Duh. But yeah, you know, it's something where I would imagine that number going down even further. I mean, if it's currently at 8, I'd imagine it to be maybe you might have one instance of maybe one masters athlete, maybe less, maybe zero that can actually end up being in semifinals, which again leaves what backfills. So
Right.
potentially, I don't know the number as of today, but according by the end of the week, that'd be tomorrow, today, tomorrow, whatever. There'll probably be 8 backfill spots open it up. So
Mm.
if you're in those 130s or 140s, you might be getting that. You might be getting an email. So
That late night phone call.
yeah, just keep on training. Keep on training. Guess
Yeah.
what? You too could be at the Atlas Games if you're vaccinated.
And you have your,
Or
passport or, I forget what they call it here in New York, because obviously, like, going to Canada is super easy, but your enhanced license.
oh,
So
they
with my license, I
mhm.
can easily travel to Canada. I don't need a passport. I'm
did
curious if
you
other
did you know that if you had like a DWI or some type of moving, I guess a misdemeanor, you can't.
8 years, I think.
Yeah, you're
You
banned from
can't go to
Canada.
Canada.
Not that I
Yes.
not that I'm banned from Canada. Believe me. I mean, I'm good. I'm good. But
It's
still,
funny you bring that up because growing up, I had a ton of friends whose, like, families would have, like, summer houses, like, on the lake in
mhm,
Canada, and, was it I think alcohol across the border was, like, duty free or whatever, it was, like, cheaper or whatever, and the biggest thing was you better not drink and drive because you are gonna be banned for nearly a decade.
Yeah.
if you get behind the wheel and get a DWI or DUI, whatever. So, fun fact. But
So if you need any more reasons not to get a
I don't
DWI,
know why we were saying that.
if you need any reasons not to get a DWI, it's because you can't travel to Canada. If you get anything from this 35 minutes of us just talking, just know that if you ever want to go to Canada, don't drink and drive. The one
Right.
thing.
I
Oh,
feel like that should be a promotional commercial.
that's our PSA right there.
There there you go.
There's your lesson of the week from the morning chalk up.
Okay, let's transition into our highlights.
Yeah, this is what I'm here for. I'm all
Th
about the
this
highlight.
this is what I'm
So,
here for too.
what's the
We'll start with
criteria?
you.
What's our criteria? Do we have any criteria?
I mean, just what we thought was really freaking cool on the internet,
Okay. All right, cool.
right?
Well, I'll
Like,
tell you what. This is what
do
I'm
you want a
proposing.
criteria?
Yeah. Well, I mean, whatever's freaking cool, I guess. You know. But I will say this: whoever
Fitness.
whoever we nominate, if they watched us and they DM either you or me with their address, I will send them something.
Ooh.
So
Do you
whoever
hear
we
that?
pick, so every week we do this until they shut us down. Um, hopefully this is the first of many episodes, but you're gonna have
Watch,
two
this is
winners.
the one and only episode we're
I
allowed to
know
do.
if this ever
Shut it down,
publishes.
shut it down.
Yeah, but
Maybe this will
you'll
never
have
see air.
yeah you'll have two winners. You'll have two winners every week that if they send us a DM at our personal DMs, which our personal Instagram. It's PC in the pubs for me. It's what for you?
You don't know mine?
I know yours.
It's so easy.
It's Lauren Kalil.
It is. Yeah. I'm super easy to find on the internet. I don't
Yeah,
have any puns, no
yeah.
numbers, just at Lauren Kalil.
She doesn't like dogs. But anyways,
Saber.
but yeah, just if you get picked, just shoot us a DM and we'll get something out to you
Free
for
stuff.
yeah. And who it might I don't know what it means. It might be like some socks or something. But we'll send them something. We'll send them something.
One of PC's dirty socks.
I can't do that. It'd be like no, because then I'd have like an odd sock and yeah, you don't want that. But
You get the full pair. Okay, let's get
highlight.
into it. We're gonna start with PC.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with my boy, Mr.
And
Heber Cannon.
hey, wait, I gotta play the audio.
So if you haven't watched their YouTube, they did an episode where Marston actually
Woo!
ran a marathon and Heber did the occupational gains with a firefighter from their
Look
gym.
at him go.
And if those who don't know, Heber is a master's. I think he's 38 years old. I'm sure he'll probably text me like,
Really? He's 38?
yeah,
He
he's
looks
past
damn good for
35.
38.
Oh, of course he does. Of course he does. But for him to PR 327, I believe.
Yeah,
Um,
327.
327. That's like
Think I
triple.
got more?
Yeah, that's like triple his body weight for people who don't know him. So
My
if
God.
anyone that I mean, yeah, if you're over 40 or if you're over 35 and you're PRing big lifts like that, you're doing something right. So my hat's off to you, Mr. Cannon. That
Eh,
that podium and that rain and all the other stuff that you're doing, the cold plunge, it must be working for you because you're my highlight of the week.
congratulations, Heber Cannon.
Look at that celebration.
My
Seeing that up,
highlight.
and then yeah, hype, and that's real hype right there. What about you, Lauren? What do you got?
Here we go. Here we go. Martin's Lickus, I think
Wow,
is how he says his name.
yeah,
But
Martine.
this was so impressive to me. Of course, because of the weight. I mean, 715 pounds, like what? But more impressive to me was, yeah, maybe the amount of chocolates on his hands because it makes me feel better of how much I use. But a double overhand hook grip. Are you
Yeah,
kidding me? Are you actually kidding me? Like, I get to maybe 70% of my 1RM deadlift, and I'm like, okay, reverse grip, reverse grip, because your little hands are not going to be able to hang on
I do that in my warm ups. But yeah, if you don't,
with the empty barbell, the PVC pipe.
so people are going to think we're in cahoots here in terms of like Martine. He's obviously associated with Heber Cannon. I mean, and a buddy of bros.
Oh,
He's
I
like,
actually didn't even know that. So,
yeah. So I mean, yeah. But either
oh, I
way,
didn't even
Martin,
like
he's
it.
a I think he won
Real.
road this past year in the strongman competition. So obviously,
Yeah.
he is a strongman. That
Oh
he's a
my god,
funny
yeah.
dude. He is a funny dude, and yeah,
Whoa.
he's been known to jump in on some CrossFit workouts here and there.
Holy crap. Yeah, this guy's real.
Yeah,
Grip is one of the most important strengths to develop. Well, yeah, dude, you have it.
can you imagine? Just imagine how big his hands are.
I can't even, like, wrap my head around that.
Yeah, if you
He
ever
doesn't
get a chance to go to a strongman competition, I mean, that's part of being a good strongman is just
yeah,
having huge hands, and
I'll put it
that's
on the
why I'm not
bucket
a
list.
strongman. Just that's the only thing that's holding me back is just yeah,
Little hands.
oh man,
PC, this was fun.
yeah, it
This
is.
was a fun way to recap the news from the week.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, we want to make this a weekly thing where we just kind of just catch you up on the news and kind of give us our perspective. We hope to have guests on in future episodes. Bring some people in, bring in some of the writers that actually wrote the
That have
article.
done the stories, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
tell the stories. Maybe one, get to know them. And maybe get some stuff behind the scenes or in depth. The stuff that you're not reading between the lines. And yeah,
Mhm.
so this is the first of we hope many, and
One of many segments,
one
so
of many.
hopefully we don't get canceled. Like, subscribe, comment,
Comment.
follow us on the Instagram.
Get the
Let
way.
us know what you guys think, and even if you have any suggestions, we're here to
Yeah.
take feedback. We can handle it.
Yes, we definitely can.
We got pretty thick
We
skin
definitely can.
from a life of scrolling the comment sections.
Yes, yes. That's the only reason why I go to the Morning Talk Up Instagram is just to look at comments.
It's a good time. It's a good
Yeah.
time. Well, we
Well,
hope you guys enjoyed our first weekly whiteboard and enjoy the rest of your weekend. We have semifinals in a couple of weekends, so a ton of content that's going to be coming your way. We're here to cover it, and it's going to be a good time
yeah, we're gonna be all over the world on this one too.
all over.
Worldwide coverage.
Bye, PC.
Bye.